E3 2021 is only a couple weeks away, and with it comes some of the most exciting game announcements of the year. And something about this year's E3 feels really special, with last year and all the way up to this point being pretty dry on video game news, and there's a lot of awesome games in development that we haven't really seen much of yet, especially from Xbox and their first-party studios. With the start of a new console generation, the beginning of the end for the pandemic, and so many amazing games on the way, I think this year's E3 is really going to be one for the ages. So today I want to go over 10 games that I'm really looking forward to seeing more of at E3 2021. A quick side note, because Sony isn't attending E3 again this year, I'm not going to be mentioning any of the PlayStation games in this video. And I know I won't be able to cover all of the cool games coming out, so be sure to let me know what other games you're excited for down in the comments. But starting off with number 1, I want to talk about Elden Ring. Souls fans really got a treat at the end of 2020 with the Demon Souls remake, and if you had the means to play it, you know how awesome of a remake that was. But now, fans are really looking forward to FromSoft's next project, the highly anticipated and highly elusive Elden Ring. The game was announced 2 years ago now, and outside of the cinematic announcement trailer, it's been pretty much complete radio silent by FromSoft. There is a leaked gameplay trailer out there that I'm not going to tell you to go and look for, but the fact that a gameplay trailer even exists for it in the first place, whether it was a mock-up for internal use for the company, or being saved for some other event down the line, it means the game is far enough along in development now where there's actually something to show. And everyone is just waiting to see what an open-world Souls game is going to look like. And after 2 years of fans hearing nothing, and people being teased with leaks and rumors, it's about time to see Elden Ring show up officially at this year's E3. After a long hiatus into both of the world wars, Battlefield seems to be finally returning to a more modern military setting with Battlefield 6. There's been a lot of rumors going around about the new Battlefield game as well, hinting at completely destructible environments, a battle royale to compete with Warzone, 128 player lobbies, and this sounds like a slam dunk on paper. A modern setting could be just what Battlefield needs to kind of re-spark interest in the franchise after the poor reception of Battlefield 5. I've always kind of preferred modern or more futuristic shooters anyways, but that's just a personal thing. Anyways, I'm really excited to see what Battlefield 6 has to offer, and I would be absolutely shocked if we didn't see it at E3 this year. Number 3 is one of those games that is able to get you hyped up by just mere mention of its name. And I'm of course talking about Bethesda's new Indiana Jones game. It has been a long time since we've seen an Indiana Jones game. Other than the LEGO games, I'm pretty sure the last one came out on the original Xbox. And Machine Games, who work on the Wolfenstein series, seems to be the perfect studio to take this on. Blowing up Nazis is an art form, and no one does it better than Wolfenstein. I'm really interested to see Machine Games' take on an indie game, especially with modern graphics. And miss me with that console wars bullshit, but Xbox does kind of need an action-adventure exclusive to fill its roster, and Indiana Jones is a perfect fit. Whether it's a gameplay trailer or even just a cinematic story trailer, I really hope it shows up at some capacity at E3. If Microsoft really wants to bring the heat this year, this is the way. For number 4, I want to have some fun and throw a little bit of a Hail Mary pass out there. The Coalition, or Microsoft's Gears of War studio, is working on a smaller, unannounced side project, which according to industry insider Jeff Grubb is to help the team get used to working on Unreal Engine 5. And when the Coalition first took over the Gears franchise, their first project was to remaster Gears of War 1 to kind of help the team practice working on the Gears of War franchise. It's hard to imagine TC working on anything other than Gears of War, just as it would be for 343 to work on something other than Halo. So my shooting star wish for this year is for the Coalition to announce their next project as a Gears of War 2 remaster. Gears of War 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, and Gears 2 is really the game that popularized Horde and survival modes. And not to mention that it also has one of the best campaigns in the series. Gears 5 stumbled at launch. Even though it got glowing reviews about its campaign and story, the multiplayer and Horde were honestly just a mess. The game had and still does suffer from pretty rampant server issues, bad hit registration, and it also launched with a lack of content, maps, playable characters, and a really bad unlock system that was just ruined by microtransactions and paywalls. And even though some of this stuff has been fixed, like the amount of content and the in-game store especially, almost 2 years later is a little too late, and the player population has really suffered because of that. So what better way to rejuvenate the series than a remaster of one of the best video game sequels ever, and no less from Xbox's other big franchise? Or even better yet, give Gears of War the Master Chief Collection treatment. That would be awesome. We still don't know a lot about Bethesda's next big project, Starfield. But that still hasn't stopped fans from boiling over with excitement. And it's hard to blame them because Skyrim in space is a pretty solid elevator pitch. At the moment, Starfield is in that weird phase of hype where you're excited just because you haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen gameplay, we don't know any story details, we don't even know what the game looks like from a graphical perspective. But it is still Bethesda's brand spanking new IP. And I think their first new IP in 20 years. Microsoft knows damn well that other than Halo Infinite, this is the game that people are wanting to see the most. If you're to believe the rumors, Starfield should come out sometime in 2022, so we're about due for at least a cinematic trailer. Number 6 is easily my second most anticipated game of the year, Back 4 Blood. I've been covering the game pretty extensively on this channel, and after playing the alpha in December, it just made me hungry for more. I was really surprised with how solid the gameplay was for just being an alpha build. Back 4 Blood has a lot going for it. Lots of enemy variety, tons of guns, and even in-game modifiers that change certain aspects of the game from round to round. And on top of that, it's just a really fun and hectic game. If you're a fan of the Left 4 Dead series or even something like Warhammer Vermintide, you pretty much know what you're getting here. Back 4 Blood is even being developed by the original creators of Left 4 Dead as a spiritual successor to the series, because we all know how Valve feels about 3s. We know that there's a beta coming sometime this summer. We don't have any announced dates just yet, but with Warner Brothers attending both E3 and Summer Games Fest, I'd fully expect them to announce those dates sometime in the next month or two. The beta is going to be open for anyone on an Xbox One or newer, PS4 and 5, along with PC. What I'd also really like to see them talk about are story details, because we have seen some clips from what look like cutscenes in the trailer. Whether these are just kind of character introductions or if the game is going to feature a full-fledged story and cutscenes, we don't really know yet, but I'm really hoping to get some more details on that during one of these events. The other big thing that I really hope they talk about is their plan for post-launch and the DLC. There is a lot of concern and confusion going around about the annual pass and how the DLC is going to affect the game, so the sooner they elaborate on that, the better. If we don't see Back 4 Blood at E3, we'll definitely see it at Summer Games Fest. But why not both? Number 7 is another game that I'm personally really excited about. The spiritual successor to Dead Space, Callisto Protocol. After EA shut down Visceral Games a few years ago now, a lot of people's hopes and dreams of ever seeing another Dead Space game were pretty much crushed. But now, it's possible we could be getting something even just as exciting. A brand new IP from the original creator of Dead Space, Glenn Schofield. With a new team Striking Distance Studios, they're setting out to make one of the most terrifying games of all time. And that's exactly what they set out to do with Dead Space, and they pretty much nailed it. Dead Space brought so many unique ideas to the table, and to this day there's still really nothing that lives up to it. Let me just read you the game description that they have on their website. Set on Jupiter's moon Callisto in the year 2320, the Callisto Protocol is a next-generation take on survival horror. The game challenges players to escape the maximum security Black Iron prison and uncover its terrifying secrets. A blend of horror, action, and immersive storytelling, the game aims to set a new bar for horror in interactive entertainment. And being as the game is releasing sometime in 2022, it only makes sense that we'll see it in some capacity at E3. Another cinematic trailer would be cool, but I'm really hoping to get a glimpse at some actual gameplay. At the end of the day, I just want to know what the game is actually going to look like. I know I can't be the only Dead Space fanatic out there, so leave a comment letting me know if you're excited for Callisto Protocol. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is one of those games that has really flown under a lot of people's radars despite looking really freaking cool. You create your own space pirate and explore the seamless open world, or worlds I guess. You can rob banks, fight the police, and invade other large vessels. You can spacewalk, fully customize your ships with cosmetics and different weapons, fly from planet to planet, and it's even co-op. You and your co-op partner aren't tethered together either. Kind of like GTA, you can all go off in your different directions and do your own activities all in the same lobby. The game looks like it has a lot of charm to it as well. The characters are all different animals that can walk around and talk, they swear, and this monkey even has a grappling hook hand. Beyond Good and Evil 2, an open world space pirate adventure where you can play as a monkey or a giant pig. What more could you want? Stalker 2 is a follow-up to one of the most immersive and atmospheric open-world survival games ever. In Stalker 2, you'll journey into the irradiated zone of Chernobyl where you'll fight some of the weirdest mutants and monsters you've ever seen. You'll encounter paranormal weather anomalies like a gravity vortex and acid rain, and fight other bandits for survival. The devs have said that the game map is one of the largest open worlds ever, and on top of that, things in the game are constantly happening around you, whether you're around to see them or not. For example, you can kind of just stumble upon the aftermath of a group of NPCs that got attacked by a group of mutants. NPCs and monsters move around the map freely, and it just makes the game feel really alive. And what we've seen of the in-game graphics looks really damn good. I mean, The character models are all randomized even down to what their teeth look like. This is going to be my first go at the Stalker series, and I can't wait to see more of this game. I'm hoping to see at least a short gameplay walkthrough, just so we can see what a Stalker game in 2021 looks like. I don't really see a lot of people even talking about Stalker 2 yet, but if you're a fan of open world survival games or even horror games, you definitely want to keep your eye on Stalker. And now for the big one, Halo Infinite. 3 years after being announced, the game is still pretty much an enigma. We don't really know anything about what's going on in the story, we know very little about the characters and their motivations, and how Chief even ended up on Zeta Halo in the first place. What I would expect to see is another short campaign walkthrough. Something shorter than the one in July, but just enough to give us a look at the updated graphics. I'm sure this will be followed up with a fast-cut story trailer that hopefully gives us a better understanding of what's actually going on in the story. Getting a better look at the campaign is kind of a given, but I honestly think we're going to get a much bigger emphasis on the multiplayer side of things. Without a doubt, Halo has some big competition this fall. There's going to be a new Call of Duty, naturally, Battlefield 6, and Back 4 Blood, just to name a few of the heavy hitters. So I'm sure Microsoft wants to show off the multiplayer in a really big way. And E3 is really Xbox's last chance for a big marketing event before launch. So I'd like to see a multiplayer trailer for sure. Something that shows off the different maps and game modes, maybe give us a look at some more Spartan armor and weapons, but if they really want to leave an impression on people, they need to show us what they have in store for their heavily rumored big multiplayer mode. Halo's multiplayer is going to be more important to this game's success than ever before. The multiplayer is going to be free to play, and it's going to launch on all the modern Xbox consoles and PC and Game Pass. So naturally, there's a lot of people really interested in seeing the multiplayer. And E3 is the perfect time to announce multiplayer beta dates and just get people really hyped up to get the game in their hands. I don't think there's anything they could do that would create more hype than announcing the beta dates or even opening it up that day. For better or for worse, whatever 343 shows at E3, it's all anyone is going to be talking about. And I'll definitely be covering Halo Showcase, so make sure to stick around for that. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. If you made it through, leaving a like helps me out a lot. You can follow me on Twitter at NickRespawns, and until next time, have a good one.